Rusty Starlands. Book 1. The Tree and the Kindling. Prologue. Under the Canopy. Section 1. The Roots of Sylvaris. The lights of the dome city shattered in Kaeryn's eyes, breaking into thousands of blurred reflections, like crushed gemstones scattered across a glass chessboard, known to most people simply as Tayon. He watched the city in silence. In the distance, 7 newly added shapes lay curled outside the Sector 3 transit lock. Thermal blankets wrapped them into indistinct human forms. Blood seeped through the seams and froze into fine, dark red crystals in the -99 air. By the time dawn filtered through the thin mist, those crystals would be swept away, along with last night's accumulated nuclear waste, cleared by scavenger arms and dumped into the ravines of Arsiamans. Return to dust. Return to forgetting. They had smuggled themselves here with hope in their pockets, believing Mars to be a new world where liquid gold flowed freely. They never knew that oxygen here was thinner than hope in the diamond mines of old Earth. Tragedies like this had long become routine beneath the dome, silently etched into the history of Martian colonization. In the great tide of the Mars environmental transformation met, sacrifice was treated as inevitable. At least, that was what Tayon told himself, to keep the delicate balance within his mind from tipping.
Chief Engineer,
a voice said.
The crow from Earth has arrived.
Lynn Therion's voice was, as always, clean and efficient, as if filtered through an air purification system. She stood within the projection glow near the ventilation shaft, pasture straight, like a slab of cut stone never abandoned by time. Her features were sharp and weathered. Under the cold blue light of the work lamps, her cheekbones cast long, narrow shadows. Beneath the solar lamps, her rust-colored skin looked dry and cracked, gaunt, stubborn. Her mechanical right arm twitched once. An old injury from a serious accident. On Mars, prosthetics like hers were commonplace. When Tayon rose from his seat, he did not answer right away. His fingertips still rested on the heat dissipation module of the malfunctioning calibrator on the desk. His gaze drifted from the report and settled on Lynn instead. When she used the word crow, that familiar sourness rose in his stomach again. Lynn liked giving people animal nicknames. Different animals, different temperaments. Crow was less mockery than instinctive defense, a name shaped by experience. Inspectors from Earth always arrived with obscure motives and ill omens, and every visit left Tayon exhausted before it even began. If I had a nickname, he thought quietly, it would probably be the Horned Turtle. He had no intention of saying it aloud. There was no need. But the image lingered, the fossil creature Melania, a late reptile with a thick neck, heavy armor plates, and a head too large to withdraw into its shell. Just like him now. On Mars, with no shell yet built, his head exposed to the red wasteland, looking out in quiet vulnerability. The moment Serafini Sylvaris stepped into the control room, a flock of biomimetic scavenger gulls swept past the dome outside. Their carbon fiber frames cast fractured shadows across the light screen. For an instant, those reflections danced across her tungsten copper mask, forming the illusion of wings in mid-beat, as though half her face were merging with metallic feathers. Serafini wore the ceremonial robes of a Sylvaris inspector. Interwoven bands of black and silver flowed down from her chest like a star map unfolding. A sword rested at her waist, its cold sheen dormant, almost asleep. The people of House Sylvaris were known for how they stood always upright. Their tall, slender frames and muted skin tones made them resemble ancient trees, branches tangled, roots buried deep beneath the soil, unmoved by storm or age. Serafini's movements were composed, shaped by a discipline that felt almost ritualistic. Beneath the mask, half her face was visible, pale as grey jade, Her jawline was sharp, carved rather than grown. When her eyes appeared, they were calm in a way that felt distant, nearly inhuman. Tao caught a faint trace of sandalwood drifting from her. An unfamiliar scent that reminded him of whispered rumors among the upper classes. Stories about preservation chambers and prolonged life.
The Council of Elders requires the Sky Crown tree to reach critical growth velocity within 40 Martian days.
As she spoke, her fingers brushed the hilt of her sword. Etched into the scabbard was the family crest she wore with pride, a colossal tree piercing the void. Its roots coiled around an open stargate. It was the symbol of House Sylvaris, an ancient and formidable name, holding an unshakable position among the 11 founding families of the Terran Concord. More importantly, they were controlling the most secret and essential core technologies of the Met. At the heart of it all stood the Sky Crown Tree. In Earth's narrative archives, the Terran Concord was not described as a government in the traditional sense. It was an elite alliance of family enterprises that transcended the idea of nation-states. Its foundations remained on Earth, but its mission had long since turned toward the stars. Faced with an undertaking as vast as extraterrestrial colonization, conventional political systems had proven slow and clumsy. Only families with generations of accumulated capital and execution power could drive humanity forward into the cosmic sea. House Sylvaris, along with the 10 families who stood beside it, were the architects of that epic endeavor. The council's decision left Tao unsettled. His thumb rubbed absently against the edge of his wristwatch, tracing the cold, slightly coarse metal. The watch had been forged from fragments of fuel rod storage from the first Earth-Moon nuclear station. It carried a history eroded by radiation and mirrored the fate of his family.
The deviation in plutonium decay within Pump Group 3 is increasing,
Tao said. He summoned a holographic display. Pale blue radiation curves unfolded in the air, slithering across Seraphine's mask like a cold glowing serpent coiled in the dark.
If we force a shortened calibration cycle.
Your brother said some things very similar during the Tycho nuclear facility uprising.
Seraphine cut him off. Her voice was perfectly measured, as though every frequency had been calculated in advance, freezing all variables in place. The eye lenses of her mask flared to life. A holographic projection expanded into the air-sealed archival footage from the Kaeryn family records, released at last. Firelight illuminated a young man dismantling an unidentified device. His hands were steady and precise. Every 5 seconds, his eyes flicked to the tungsten cobalt atomic watch on his wrist. Each motion carried a suffocating intensity. His black hair gleamed with a metallic sheen in the shifting flames. His eyes, dark as obsidian, reflected resolve and clarity even in the face of inferno. He stood like a basalt statue, immovable amid a torrent of molten destruction. Behind him, what had once been the thriving lunar spaceport city was now a sea of fire. Flames roared skyward like countless screams of despair, staining the night sky crimson. His name was Lintlash Kaeryn. He was Tao's most revered elder brother, the former pride of House Kaeryn, now its most carefully avoided taboo.
Has anyone ever told you
Seraphine asked lightly.
how much the two of you resemble each other?
It sounded casual, but it was a warning. A house as assertive as Sylvaris had clearly come prepared this time. Even Kaeryn, itself one of the founding houses of the Terran Concord, could not quite conceal the old wound at its back, still far from healed. Tao's expression tightened. His wrist clenched instinctively, the heavy tungsten cobalt watch pressing against his pulse. This relic of disaster felt like a frozen prison of time, locking ruin and flame beneath his skin. The hands of the watch were forever stopped at that moment. His brother's disappearance, the fall of a city, the shattering of ideals sealed within a dial that no longer moved. leaving only a silent question behind. The control room fell quiet, save for the low murmur of machines. Serafini stood opposite him, the cold glow of her mask reflecting a tremor, so slight it was almost imperceptible.
Lintlash Kaeryn.
She said softly, almost gently.
A spark from the Tycho uprising, now echoing here.
The people of House Sylvaris always knew how to remove the single block that mattered most, at precisely the right moment. Tao lowered his gaze, then raised it again. Beneath the clarity in his eyes, grief and fury churned, compressed like fulgurite, glass forged when lightning strikes the desert.
In your calculations,
He asked quietly.
ideals and rebellion, sacrifice and betrayal, are they all just deviations in a data set?
You believe you lost a brother, a beacon, an ideal direction,
Serafini replied.
but in truth, it was no more than a grain of dust drifting with the seasonal winds. The galaxy has its own tides. No one notices where a single ripple goes. We are born to endure the impact of that flood,
She continued.
until our bones shatter and our language withers without ever questioning whether the tide should flow east or west.
She tilted her head slightly. Beneath the tungsten copper mask, her pale lips caught a faint iridescence, like shell nacre refracting light. She always cultivated an inorganic presence, as though she herself were the ancient tree of House Sylvaris, something older than flesh, longer lived than life, and far more secretive. Rage surged within Tao, but he forced it down. His back remained straight, drawn tight like a bowstring ready to snap, yet silent for now. He knew emotion was the cheapest weakness in this game. House Sylvaris had never been mere observers. Nominally, the 11 technical noble houses that make up the Terran Concord stand as equals. In practice, however, real power has always depended on the core domains each house monopolizes. In the current moment, the importance of the Sky-Crown tree stands above every other system, granting House Sylvaris a far heavier voice in all matters. By contrast, House Kaeryn has yet to emerge from the long shadow cast by the Lunar Rebellion years ago. Prolonged political marginalization has left the family weakened as a whole, and it is precisely this rupture in power that has placed Tao in the constrained and vulnerable position he now faces at every turn. Watching Tao hesitate, Serafini seemed to have obtained the answer she wanted. She turned slowly toward the exit.
The suffering of a mortal life
She murmured as she walked away.
is nothing more than the faint echo produced when a breeze passes through leaves.
As Serafini Sylvaris's shadow stretched longer and longer, Tao's mind filled with overlapping sounds, his brother's whispers, silica sand rasping against metal, the distant roar of a city burning as the sky tore open. All of it ended the moment the pressure door sealed shut.